Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. I am so excited today to be joined by Donna Hann, and she is the founder of She's in Business, which is a hub for moms who are made for more. She empowers women to rise to the next level of business, eradicate burnout, which we're going to talk about quite a bit today, and make sure that they're aligned to a heart-centered lifestyle. So she is on a mission to guide women in business to transform from feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, and on the path to burnout to thriving as a business owner. And I think that's something that we all want. And the impact of that is that her clients feel educated, empowered, and energized for the long game of business. Donna, thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to chat with you.
Oh, I'm really grateful to be here as well. Thanks for inviting me onto the show.
Absolutely. And before we dive in, tell everyone the name of your podcast because they can catch an interview with me over there as
Yes.
well.
So my podcast is called She's in Business. And yes, you are on my podcast. So definitely go and check that one out if you're an avid podcast listener, which if you're tuning in now, I'm sure you are. But yeah, we had a great chat, didn't we? It was lovely to connect with you and talk about your lean out method and all of the beautiful and sometimes crazy parts of being in business.
Absolutely. And what I love so much about having a podcast, we're just going to talk about that for a moment, is getting to meet such absolutely incredible people like you. And sometimes I'm a guest on somebody's podcast and I'm like, I love this person. My audience is going to love this person. I have to have them on my podcast. And that is how we are here.
Yeah.
Because I think your message is so incredibly important. And for all of you listening, I think it's something that you're really going to resonate with because it's all about clarity over chaos. It's all about having that blend between business and family and all those things that are super important in your life. And I think if we're not really careful, business can lead to burnout. It can lead to extreme overwhelm. It can lead to exhaustion and all those things that I know you are on a mission to make sure that people do not experience. So why is that something that's so important to you? I want to start there and then we'll dive in a little bit about what to do about it.
Yeah, sure. Well, I live in Australia, in Queensland, and I have 2 children. So my boys are now 6 and 9. We live interstate from our family, and so I've always been really interested and intrigued in the world of business. I think following in the footsteps of my parents who had their own business, I started my first business at 19 while I was at university. And whilst I did dabble in corporate jobs, in training and leadership, I kept coming back to business ownership. So I've started and grown and sold 3 really successful businesses in various industries. So I worked in children's entertainment. I had an online retail store and like a pop-up store, and most recently a dance studio. And so what led me to really being passionate about the space that I work in with She's in Business is because I've had the opportunity to grow businesses both before kids and with kids in tow, and the challenges are very different. And so I've been myself on the brink of burnout. I've also, for a short while, been in the space where my marriage was impacted, and thankfully the business experience that I have and the support that I have in my corner enabled me to reshape what I was doing and redesign my business so I could establish a healthy work-life blend. But not everybody has that experience to draw from. And when things get tough, it can be really hard to get back up and keep going. And so I see a lot of women who are great at what they do. So then they decide, I'm going to open a business in this thing that I'm talented in doing. And they get through the initial setup steps, but then they don't know how to develop that idea and that concept into a thriving, profitable business, for one. They perhaps have the technical knowledge or the skill set, but they don't have the business skills. So they're essentially winging it as they go. And they don't have the strategies for success in place. And the other thing that I often see, particularly for mums in business, is that they don't have people around them who get what it's like to juggle a business and to juggle a family. And it can be very lonely and it can be very stressful at times. And the result of that, as you said, is that it can lead to business burnout. We're burning the candle at both ends all the time. Mum guilt is pretty huge. And there's that healthy work-life blend kind of isn't there. And so what often happens is that these really talented, amazing women give up on their business dream and they close the doors. And so the programs and that I do and the business coaching services are really there because I want to create a holistic approach which really supports women to integrate the three sides of themselves, which is the savvy entrepreneurial businesswoman with big ambitions, the devoted mum so that she can be in the moment with the people who mean the most to her, and also being the grounded, heart-centered woman who honors her own self-care. And so that in a nutshell is why I do what I do. And I love that I get to do this work with women and support other women to rise in business.
It's so incredible. And it's interesting how I feel like we all learn the lessons that we learn so that we could help other people
Mhm.
to not experience it or to really shorten and minimize the bumps in the road. And for everyone listening, I'm sure the same is true for you and what you do as well. So, how great that you're able to pull from that experience of having done this pre kids as well as with kids. So, you have that really broad perspective that so many people can learn from.
Yeah.
So, such a great mission.
Yeah. And I think, like, I've always been about sharing my knowledge and my skills. And like I said, helping other women to rise. It's really important to me that we do that because um, I strongly stand behind that saying that empowered women empower women. And I think the more that we can do that for one another in collaborating, in sharing, in, just really getting in each other's corner and supporting each other, that's so important for women all over the world. And I know that you share that same passion as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. So let's talk about when someone is unfortunately in that place today where maybe they are feeling really overwhelmed. Maybe they're just flat out exhausted or on the verge of burnout, right? I always distinguish between little b burnout and big B burnout. But, like they're in little b burnout and they're trying to make sure they don't end up really like
Yeah.
truly burnt out with health implications.
Mm.
What are some things that they can do to start to get that blend back and start to get, back control over their time and just what they're focused on?
Yeah. I think at the beginning, when you're in that space of feeling like you're on the road to burnout, is take small steps. When you're already feeling overwhelmed, the last thing you want to do is kind of like do something massive. And the thing that sometimes people want to do is just throw it all in. It's like it's too hard. I just want to give up. I just want to stop. I'm just going to like close the doors. So in those moments, it's about really taking the time to just pause and stop. And it can feel almost like, particularly if you've got a lot going on, which we all do in different ways, it's really hard to stop when it feels like you're already overwhelmed with the sheer amount of stuff that you've got to get done. But you need to stop that. Get yourself out of that pattern, that overwhelmed sense. And so stopping and pausing and just taking a moment to really just go, right, I'm going to label this. I'm feeling really overwhelmed. I'm feeling really tired. I'm feeling really burnt out. I'm feeling really stressed. What is causing all of this for me? And then sitting with a piece of paper and just literally brain dumping. I love a good brain dump. I think it's a really great way to get all of those internalized thoughts and feelings out of your out of your mind and down on paper so you can start to get that clarity over the chaos that's happening inside of your mind. And so it can be as simple as just like dot pointing how you're feeling. And starting from a place of how you're feeling is a really great spot, because sometimes when we label what we're feeling, it actually kind of takes the sting out of it in a way. So writing down how you're feeling, and then from that starting to try and connect the dots between what you're feeling and why you're feeling it. And from there, you can start to develop a little bit of clarity around what's really going on, because sometimes when we're feeling totally overwhelmed, it's really hard to see the wood through the trees, you know? And so that would probably be the first thing that I would say, is to sit down with your thoughts, take a moment of pause, write stuff down. And then once you've got some clarity around that, start to make a bit of an action plan for yourself to go, right, what do I need to do? What's this thing that's overwhelming me? If it's one particular thing, and usually it's like a couple of big things that are overwhelming, but if you break each one of those down individually, it doesn't seem like such a big thing, right? And then once you've broken it down and gone, okay, what do I need to do to move my way through this? Create yourself some steps and then just start. Do the first thing on the list to get that momentum back up, because when we're overwhelmed, we go into that state of procrastination quite often. And it's like that our nervous system goes into flight or freeze. And so we need to move out of that state and into a state of productivity and momentum. And so by having the list of things that you need to do and start ticking off those items on the list, it will automatically make you feel like you're achieving again, which is a great feeling to have. And that motivation, that that first win then powers you on to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. But it's really important to actually take stock of how you're feeling and pause, and do that regularly. I think that's really important to draw attention to, is the regular pause to check in with yourself and see how you're really feeling. Even if you're not feeling overwhelmed, like if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I'm actually feeling pretty good right now, well, that's great. Keep tapping in though. Keep touching base with yourself, with your soul, and asking yourself those questions. How am I feeling right now? Because if you can do that on a regular basis and make that part of your reflective process as a business owner, you're going to have more insight into what's really going on for your business, but also more insight on what's going on for you, which is really important.
Yeah, such great advice. And I find too that I don't know if you find this as well, but just simply the act of writing things down and not typing things out, but actually picking up a pen in a
Mm-hmm.
notebook or a piece of paper or your planner or your journal or whatever it is, and actually writing it down. It's just the act of even getting it out of your head, even if you take no actions different, even if you do nothing else, just simply putting it down all of a sudden gives a big sense of relief,
Yep.
because you're not trying to hold it all in your head anymore, and
Yeah.
it becomes more real. You're not imagining all these scenarios that are probably never going to happen anymore. It's
That's
just down on
right.
paper and it's kind of out.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is to, if you're feeling really lost within that, like you can be overwhelmed with all the things that you need to do, but then you can also be feeling really lost in your business because perhaps over time it's evolved to become something that isn't what you intended it to be at the beginning, you know? And that is something that can really have you feeling either resentful towards your business or feeling disconnected from your business. You might feel like a bit of lost love over it, that you're like, yeah, it's not really lighting me up anymore. And I'm working so damn hard for it. And yet I don't feel like it's really me anymore, you know? And so I think it's also equally important, if you're at the beginning of your business, or perhaps you're, been on your business journey for a while, is to really unpack your core purpose and figure out the why behind what you do, and anchor that why to core values, because we need to get that alignment between what's really important to you at your heart center, which also includes what's important to you in your family life, as well as what's important to you as business goals, as well as what's important to you as your goals when you're not wearing all of the hats, like what's important to Donna, what's important to Krista, what lights you up as a person, what makes you feel like the world is awesome. Really understanding what those core values are and then shaping your business around those. That's really important. And it's also important to highlight that those values, the things that are most important to you, might shift and change as life goes on. And I think, particularly as a parent, that happens. So I know that before I had kids, my goals, my values, the things that I really felt aligned to are very different to what they are now, because I've got two little people who are dependent upon me and I see life differently to how I did before. And so as the season of life changes, also business will shift and evolve and change as well. And so, yes, in regards to sitting down and writing down how you're feeling, it's also about sitting down and writing down why you do what you do, and to keep coming back to that, because it may change and evolve and you need to kind of evolve and grow with it.
Yeah, I agree completely. And once you have that clarity, you know what those values are, you know what those goals and vision and really just why you're doing what you're doing.
Mm.
How does planning then come into play to help you bring it all together and start to see the actual momentum towards that?
Yeah. Well, planning is like, I know you love planning as well, but planning is so, so, so important, because yes, you may have the vision, and it's important also to vision a few years ahead of where you are now and almost engineer it backwards, because particularly when you've got kids involved, right? Because what worked for you when your kids were babies and running a business, because I know that that was a very different season for me when my kids were babies, to now that they're school aged and they're wanting to do lots of after school activities, to when they become teenagers, who knows what that will entail. But it's important to kind of have that vision to know what your family responsibilities might be, and then intentionally create your business shaped around those things and reverse engineering it. And that's where planning really comes into play as well. But aside from planning your business around the structure of your family, it's also about planning your business around your your revenue and profit goals. It's about making sure that you are building your business in a way that has you reaching those goals without burning out. So it's, we can have massive goals and we can go, 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 go for it, but burn ourselves out in the process and end up in a position where we are either complicating, our health is compromised, or we're at the point where we just don't love what we do anymore because it's just too much work, it's too hard. So that would be one thing. And I think as well, like making sure that you're doing it in incremental stages. I know that you love 90-day planning and I love 90-day planning as well. It's something that I do within my business, but it's something that I also educate my clients to do. And I often do a quarterly 90-day planning workshop, to invite people along to just kind of either understand what 90-day planning is or get all the templates that you need to be able to do it, but to show up for yourself every 90 days to actually map out what you're going to do. Because if you map out the 90-day plans, then you will reach those 12-month plans and you will reach those 2-year plans and beyond, because it's that continual accountability to yourself, that I've got these things I need to get done and I'm going to get them done by the end of these 90 days.
Yeah, and I don't know if you find this, but I find that when people really commit to planning, especially if they more were in a place where they were kind of winging their way
Yeah.
to where they're at, they will get more done in 90 days than they normally get done in an entire year because they're
Yeah.
focused.
And
Do you
because you've
find
got
that
a
as well?
strategy. Yeah. And because you've got a strategy. And I think this is the thing that is often missed, with new business owners or business owners who, as you say, are winging it, is that there's no strategy behind it. And we're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping that it sticks. But you need to have a business strategy for business success, whether that be a marketing strategy, a growth strategy. There's so many different ways to look at it. And I do think that you need to have a variety of different strategies running within your business at any one time. But yeah, the 90-day plan gives you that short-term strategy to get stuff done. And as you say, you get it done much more effectively as well. What would normally take you 12 months to do, you're doing it in 90 days because you've got a plan that you can stick to.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how does that break down for social media? I know social media can be a bit overwhelming for people sometimes, and they're not really sure. And it's like almost two separate things. I've got my plan, and then I've got to go post things on social media. Really, they can fit together. So, how does planning influence social media?
Well, I think, as you say, consistency is really, really important with social media, and it's a hungry beast, right? You've got to keep feeding social media all the time so that your marketing is effective and it's shown up in lots of different places. By having a plan and a strategy for your marketing that is tailored to social media, it means that it's going to take some of the stress away from posting on the fly all the time. And what I love about planning your content out for social media is that you can actually step away from your business. Maybe if you're going on a mini break, or, if you're going away on summer vacation, all of that kind of stuff, you can actually have it there ticking away in the background so that you're visible. And to the rest of the world, it's like, yep, she's there. But for you, you can actually take a break, which is another thing that's so important to avoid burnout, is actually scheduling breaks into your calendar year and making sure that when you're on those breaks, you're actually unplugging from your business. I don't know about you, Krista, but when I unplug from my business, I get the best inspired ideas because I'm not like busy in it. I'm actually stepping out from it. I'm resting. My body's like recuperating, and the brain starts to go, oh, that's a cool idea. How could I make that work in my business? Oh, I could do this. Oh, I could do that. And so, yeah, making sure that you've got those plans in place with social media, because, yeah, it's really hard not to be on all the time when you're posting on the fly. And so there's a few different things. Like I have some free social media tools that are really helpful in planning out your time. And I think it's just about working out who your audience is. That's really important. Working out what kind of content your audience will resonate with, and then planning your content to speak to those things so that it's effective and you're not wasting your time just creating stuff that's not landing with your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said something there that I think was so key, and that is when you are taking a vacation, when you are taking time. I think with planning, it allows you to take the time because you can pre schedule your social media, or you can set your team or whoever up for success to kind of keep things moving.
Mm.
But what you said that I so resonate with is fully check out.
Yeah.
Fully check out. And I think that's so important. And in the beginning, I'd always say, I'm just going to bring my laptop. I'll just do a couple things. I'm just going to check in. I'll just make myself available a little bit. And before you know it, the vacation goes by. You're frustrated because you're not getting done what you really needed to in the business, but you're not really enjoying the vacation.
Mm.
And you don't come back relaxed or refreshed. Whereas if you actually do check out, which I did this in May, I went on a trip and I didn't even bring my laptop. I didn't check in. I was like, my team has this. I'm not doing a thing. And not only did I come back, as you said, inspired and relaxed and refreshed, but to this day, I'm still getting inspiration from that break.
Mm.
It's not just a, well, you're there. I think it's a, it, keeps going and feeds it. But so often I think we're being more productive by just doing a little bit here and there. And I think it actually hurts our productivity and hurts our innovation. What do
Yeah.
you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. If you can check out, absolutely do it. If I think if there's moments that you have to check into your business, like maybe you don't have a team, maybe you're really bootstrapping at the moment with your business and you haven't got a team that you can kind of rely on, and maybe you have to check in like half an hour a day or an hour a day or something like that. Tell someone to hold you accountable. So my husband's very good at that. I'll be like, I just need to go and, do a coaching call, or I just need to jump in and answer, check my emails. I need an hour. And I'll say, come and tap me on the shoulder if I'm still going in an hour. Because, and and because I know that he will do that and he'll give me the look, I'm like, right, I've got an hour. I'm going to get in, I'm going to get it done, and I'm going to get back out. So I think there's that parameter to set for yourself as well, because not everyone can fully check out for a week from their business or a month from their business. It takes time to create the systems and processes and have the team to be able to do that. So depending upon where you are in your business journey, I would just say that. But definitely, in regards to shaping your business to have flexibility and freedom, again, that's another really, really important thing for avoiding burnout. And it comes in handy in so many ways. Like I said, there are seasons of life. And in those seasons of life, there can be emergencies that pop up, there can be deaths that come up, and you need to be able to pull yourself away from your business rather quickly and throw yourself into being in the moment with whatever is going on, in those chaotic moments in life. And so I just want to kind of loop back to what you were saying, in that being able to check out from your business is really important, not just for that sense of um, recharging and refreshing the batteries, but also so that you can have the flexibility to deal with emergency situations if you need to, without feeling stressed out about it. And that was certainly the case for me. My dad had a terminal illness, and he lives on the other side of the country to me. And so I had to up and leave and go and be by his bedside for almost a month. And in that time, I didn't worry about my business. I didn't stress about what was going on. I did the bare minimum that I had to, which thankfully was not very much, because I'd set the business up in such a way that those systems and processes were all in place. And that's part of educating yourself as a business owner around your business foundations and setting your business up for success, no matter what's going on outside of the business in the greater scheme of life.
Yeah, it's true because, we always talk about like winning lottery or getting hit by a bus. Those are the two scenarios that people always put out for the positive or the negative. But the reality is we have positive and negative things that influence our ability to be fully present in our business all the time. And it's usually neither of those things, thankfully.
Mm,
But that being said, yeah, it is so important to lay that foundation and set yourself up for success.
yeah.
So tell us more about you and your work and how you work with your clients and what you have coming up next that's exciting for you.
Yeah, so I work with my clients in a couple of different ways. So I do private coaching, but I also have a program called Ready to Rise. And that program is a group coaching program. So there's an online component to it, which is a whole collection of different kind of video tutorials which walk you through the business foundations, and get people upskilled in that way and get people thinking differently about their business and that sort of stuff. And then we get together every week and we do a group coaching session, and there's a beautiful community that I've created of other like-minded women who are all on the business journey together, and they support and encourage and uplift each other, and it's just wonderful. And I also do lots of online workshops and webinars, and have a few short courses available as well, which people can tap into. But yeah, all of that is really easily accessible on my website, which is donnahann.com. And there's a free productivity planner on there as well, if anyone's interested to really get a little bit more productive with their time, so that then they can have more freedom to do the things that they choose to do. And yeah, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm there a lot, which is Donna_Hann_SIB, which stands for She's in Business, which is also the title of my podcast. So those are all the places you can find me. And yeah, I'm excited to see what this new year brings in working with so many amazing women who have either brilliant business ideas that are wanting to start their own business for the first time, or women who are finding themselves in the space where they want to reshape what they're doing and create a business that lights them up every day, free from burnout.
I love it. Excellent. Those links will be down below in the show notes. So, Donna, one last question before we wrap up, and that is in your business, how do you work smarter, not harder, and keep things lean?
I do 90-day planning, which we've talked about. And that gives me a really good opportunity to look at what's working and what's not as well. So part of my 90-day planning is that as I look forward to the next 90 days, I actually reflect on the 90 days that has been. And that's a really great tool for me to, as you said, work smarter, not harder. What's working? Let's do more of that. What's not working? Can I change that so it does work? Or is it just simply that I'm making busy work for myself that I don't really need to be doing? And it's that continual reminder to check in with the business and see how it's tracking. And then going back to the start of our conversation today is continually checking in with myself as well. Not only is it important for my business to be working smarter, not harder, but also personally I need to be making sure that I'm honoring me and my self-care and taking care of me first, because if I'm not, then the business doesn't work, the family falls apart. And I don't want to live my life that way. I think you get one life and you should live it to the biggest, best way that you possibly can.
Absolutely. Okay, those are some brilliant words of advice to wrap up this episode on. Donna, thank you so much for sharing your brilliance and your wisdom. I hope you all got as much value out of this episode as I did. I will see you again next week. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. I hope you got a lot of value and actionable insights from today's show and would love if you take a moment to leave us a review. If you have any questions on today's episode or on how to lean out your business, join us over in our private Facebook community where every week we do live training and Q&A, and I'd love to have you be part of the conversation. Head to leanoutmethod.com/group to join us. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the show so you're the first to know when we release a new episode. We'll see you next week.